Alright, this is a YouTube video. Excuse the sweat, I've just finished running. I feel like that's very cliche to start a video after like a run or some piece of exercise, and you come in real hot with some like tips about how to be a better person. But we're not talking about how to be a better person, we're talking about how to be a better software developer. And I guess what I'm about to say next, considering that preface, might be slightly contentious, because we're talking about how to get a job as a software developer. We're talking about how to prepare, or at least my experience preparing for a job as a software developer coming out of a computer science degree. Now, I didn't graduate first before I got my degree. I wanted to make some money, so I decided to go out there and just get a job and work full-time while studying part-time. This isn't, what I would recommend for everyone, because I think even if you're the most competent time manager, there's a certain depth of information that really can be gained from, really thinking about it all hours of the day. But then again, when you're working on the job, you get to apply it every day. So I don't know what's best, but I would say that just if your goal is to get a job as a software developer, if that's the reason why you're studying, go get a job as a software developer as soon as possible, even if that means even if it means making a compromise on the depth of knowledge that you get from your degree. Just because when you're working on it day to day, you get those reps, you get that time in the saddle to really understand what it is that you're doing. Because I read some quote somewhere recently that it's something like learning, was it learning? No, only through the application can you understand what it is that you're doing. Anyway, I'm getting a bit sidetracked here, but what I really wanted to talk about was my process of getting a job as a software developer and the preparation that it took. Because I had the goal of getting a job as a software developer while studying about halfway through my degree, because I was sick of working in retail. And there was certainly a few stints where I was applying for jobs, but I don't think I was completely prepared for it, honestly. So it was only until I really applied myself that I started getting some interviews. And I was lucky because the first interview I sat for, at least face-to-face interview I sat for, I got the job. So I'm incredibly grateful. I'm still working at that company now, and it's all right. I think, it's time to move on in terms of growth, just as a developer. But it's not a bad place to work at, and I like the people at the company, so it was a success. So, what did I do to prepare? I'll talk about a few things. I think the first thing I'll talk about is preparing for the interview, right? But let's go sequentially, leading up to getting the job. You got to be ready. You have to really want the job. I think this is something that especially is really easy to see in an interview. That if you aren't completely committed to working at the company, they're going to read that. And I think that what they really want, especially with juniors, are people who are going to stay for more than the 6 months where they get that bit of experience and they jump from job to job, even if that's what you're going to do. And I think that's a very good strategy if what you're trying to look for is optimizing your income. I think it's a not too bad of an idea just to get your first job wherever it is, stay there for 6 months, start applying. And I think every time you jump job, if you're really applying yourself and showing growth within the organization, you can, at least in Australia, you can jump $10,000 in salary, all the way up till, I think, the 150K mark or 200K mark. I think anything after that, I don't know if that extra $10,000 is, I don't think you can promise more for that extra $10,000 outside of maybe being a project consultant. So what you're not offering only your expertise, but you're offering some kind of ROI to the business, which is worth, much more than $10,000. I just think at that level, you're not talking about $10,000 salaries, salary rises. Like that's just not going to be appealing once you're over $150,000 in salary. Anyway, digressing again, let's get back to it. How did I prepare for my job? I applied, right? I applied for jobs, and I initially used the sniper approach, like really like focusing in on the jobs that I wanted and only the jobs that I wanted. But after 6 months of failed attempts of getting a job, I was getting, a bit itchy. I really wanted to start working and start making some money, start getting some real life experience in industry. I started the spray approach. I just started applying for every single job. And initially, I was really kind of like hyper focused on making sure the cover letter was right, which I highly recommend that everyone does. If you're serious, it's not, and I get it, like it's important to write a nice cover letter, but I think just the act of having the cover letter means you're serious about the job. You're putting in the time, you're putting in the care for the job. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but I'm pretty sure in Japan, when people apply for their jobs as a graduate, they handwrite them. And the whole idea is that they put it shows the effort and the care based on like obviously how clear the writing is and how legible the handwriting is and how beautiful the handwriting is, I guess. It shows the care of the work and the care and the commitment to that company. I'm not saying you should go handwriting your own resumes and cover letters, but I think a tailored approach based on the company that you're going for, promoting the company culture, not promoting it, but at least echoing it, right? So a technique that I've used in the past for writing cover letters is reading through their latest news, the company's latest news, and try and extract out what culture they're trying to put out into the public, because that's really what they want to seem like, and if they're their company values, if you can show that you align with their company values and their culture, that's going to be an easy win. And I think especially the people that you interface with the company, these are going to be the marketing people, these are going to be the HR people, and a lot of the time those are the types of people that you will have your first interview with, unless it's more of a purely tech-based company. But if you're working in a company that has other components to the business, as well as the software development side, you're more likely than not going to have an interview with someone from human resources, and they are all about culture. Show that you align with the culture. You've got a much higher chance of really clicking with them, and therefore succeeding to proceed to the technical interview, if that's the interview process that the company that you're applying for follows. Now, what else should we talk about? Apply for jobs, apply for a lot of jobs, and add a cover letter. If you don't know how to write a cover letter, there's several examples online, but I think the golden rules are never more than a page. You want to be essentially reiterating your experience in each paragraph. So I kind of start with an introductory paragraph, which ends with, maybe I should do a cover letter writing video, but in essence, cover letter, one page promoting why you're the perfect candidate. If you feel uncomfortable about promoting yourself, well, you're just gonna not succeed, mate, because you got to do it. You got to promote yourself. I dislike unnecessarily promoting myself. I would love it if the world was a meritocracy, but marketing goes a long way, so you have to promote yourself. So the first paragraph is just saying who you are, where you're at, and why you're excited to work at this company, and a reason, like a solid reason why you want to work at this company. And I think you can implicitly delineate why you're the perfect candidate by saying why you're excited, what drives you. And you kind of want to like find that line between, your experience and what the company expects. So you've introduced yourself, you've said why you're exciting. First paragraph, how like past experience, either in a job or in your case, maybe a university, past experience of a project or a university project that aligns with what they're looking for in their candidate. One, and the most important. So if there's dot points of what skills that they acquire, you kind of want to get the gist of what exactly it is that they're looking for in terms of skills and put that in the first paragraph. Second paragraph, complementary skills. If it doesn't directly relate to the job ad, don't put it in. Try and really stick to the points that are in the job ad. And that's also another thing that I will say. So obviously put the cover letter in, put the put the resume in for the jobs, put in many job applications, but I think the most important thing is have things to talk about. Don't It's a lot harder to pretend that you have experience than actually have experience. And it's going to benefit you once you actually land the job, right? If you over promote yourself, when it actually comes time to starting day one, you're not going to feel as confident as you otherwise could. And you're not going to be providing the value that you could. And you'll feel good about it as well. So it's not only just about getting the job and start having that salary coming into the bank. It's more about feeling good at the job because that's your well-being, right? Having the money is great, but also feeling like you're providing a service and you're providing, the whole idea of having the job is providing something to the community. In response to that, you get, a salary. You'll feel good about it. So have things to talk about. So have projects. If you've done a course, you know, present those courses, ideally in an online portfolio, and you can reference, from the resume through like a hyperlink if it's digital, or just put your GitHub repo or your portfolio URL on the resume. Have things to talk about. When they ask you questions in the interview, it's going to be a lot easier to talk about the projects because you essentially step through the process that you followed to create that project. So that's another one. Have projects to talk about. And I think I would say that this is going to be my last point, is that if you actually have things to talk about, talking to the interviewers is going to be a lot more simple. Ask more questions of them because, they're going to enjoy talking as well. They know the company. They've been working there for a long time. That's probably why they're interviewing you. Ask them questions about the company, insightful questions, just ask them things that maybe someone else hasn't asked them. Because if you can't give really, I would say, if number one, ask intelligent questions, but if not, ask novel questions, because at least that will separate you from other candidates. So I'm sorry that was a little bit scattered. That's probably as much as I have to talk about right now. I have to kind of get going, but yeah, maybe I'll do a video in the future exactly how I write cover letters, because sometimes it's a bit hard to understand, what exactly to put in, especially if it's your first one. But I think the more you put in, the more you kind of build up a backlog of cover letters, and then it's sort of just like variations on a theme, right? You know what you've done, right? Now all you're doing is just presenting it to the company in a cover letter, which promotes what exactly they're looking for in the perfect candidate. Thank you so much for listening. This is a YouTube video.